Now, today marks Anti-Corruption Day. It was declared by the United Nations Convention back in 2003. The Public Service Commission is hosting an event today in partnership with UNISA and the United Nations. Now, PSC Commissioner Anele Gxoyiya joins me now to tell us about the work that the PSC is doing to fight corruption in the country. Joining me, of course, is the Commissioner Anele. Commissioner, thank you for your time and good morning to you. Let's talk about the work that you are indeed doing as a commission to fight corruption in the country. This, as you observe Anti-Corruption Day today.
Good morning to you, Tumelo, and good morning to the viewers of eNCA. As the Public Service Commission, to mark this day, what we have done, we have organized a two-day conference that started yesterday, which is attended by the whole range of stakeholders. And our approach is to ensure that we mobilize everyone, including the civil society organizations, behind the fight against corruption. Because we have noted that indeed corruption has stolen massively from the public resources, and it has also deprived people services that are due to them. Therefore, we have decided to mobilize everyone. We want to make sure that we make the fight against corruption a societal issue.
Commissioner, how do you think South Africa can move forward in terms of holding officials, executives, directors to account when, of course, there are serious allegations of corruption held, against them? The likes of President Cyril Ramaphosa attending today, Panyaza Lesufi as well attending, Special Investigative Unit Advocate A. Mutibi also attending. How important is it for accountability to be of priority when dealing with matters of corruption?
Look, transparency and accountability are the cornerstone of democracy. It is therefore important that all public servants are transparent in the way they conduct their business, and also they account to the public for the use of the public resources. It is therefore important that we join hands together and we make sure that we encourage those people who get exposed to some of the activities that are corruption related, to blow the whistle and make sure that those people get arrested. What we want to see people getting arrested and getting punished for the ills they cause to the society. So we want everyone to rally behind this call and make sure that we fight corruption. We are of the view that the fight against corruption, albeit a difficult one, but it is not unwinnable. It just needs a collective effort. It needs us to be united. It needs us to emulate the examples of people like our former president and the father of our democracy, Tata Nelson Mandela.
Commissioner, if I may, just with that being said, how would you then reflect on the impact of corruption on the role of the judiciary, in your opinion?
Look, the high levels of corruption, indeed, they make the work of the judiciary a bit difficult, because there's a whole lot of cases that are there, and you would find out that some of the cases now have to be put aside, and these priority crimes have to be prioritized so as to deal with them. So it is a cumbersome exercise for the judiciary, and we need to support the judiciary. We need to make sure that they do their work diligently without interference. Although in some quarters they get insulted and they get labeled, but we also call on our members of the judiciary to be focused in their fight against corruption and make sure that they issue appropriate judgments to those who commit those crimes.
I posed this question, or this point rather, to Professor Somato Dafigeni yesterday, the chairperson of the PSC, when reflecting on International Corruption Day, Commissioner. And I think my point was around the protection of whistleblowers. And it's not just those who blow the whistle on corruption whose lives are in danger. It seems the very same judiciary, the investigators, members of the SAPS, all say, their lives are seemingly threatened when, of course, pursuing prosecution. How can we further tighten up when it comes to witness protection and the protection of whistleblowers in the country?
Look, our view is that we need to strengthen the law enforcement agencies, particularly our police, to be capable of doing that work. Because there's a lot that is expected from the police, and the resources that they have are limited. Therefore, it is important that, one, we need to make sure that the identity of the whistleblowers is protected. Because if you protect their identity, then you don't have to physically protect them because no one knows who has reported what. So it is important to us that, one, we fight for the protection of the identity of whistleblowers. And secondly, we need to make sure that the law enforcement agencies are beefed up to be able to protect those whistleblowers. Because our view is that protecting a whistleblower for a limited period of time is not necessarily a solution. Because the question is, you will protect the whistleblower maybe until those who have committed the crimes get sentenced, and then thereafter you leave the whistleblower. You don't know who is connected to those people who may follow up on the whistleblower. So we are of the view that protection of whistleblowers has to be an ongoing process until we are comfortable that indeed they are in the safe space.
Yeah. I want to touch on governance and get your views, Commissioner, if I may, on what measures you suggest can be put in place to ensure that there is thorough improvement when it comes to governance. We've seen what corruption has done in terms of affecting society, impacting on the economy and the livelihoods of South Africans. But how do we then, using improved governance, move away from the aspect of cure, consequences, prosecutions, but preventing corruption when it comes to our government officials, preventing corruption when it comes to our governance policies? How would you suggest that we achieve this?
The biggest thing that needs to be done is to ensure that we have a professionalized public service. People who view their jobs worthy of what they are. People who respect the public resources. And we move from the premise that says people must understand that this is not the money of government, as they would say, but it's the taxpayers' money, because government does not have money. They have to tax us in order to be able to have money. So every little cent that is stolen leads to the increase in tax. It leads to the increase in prices of food and all those things. So it's important that at the level of governance, we close the gap between the political and the administrative office and make sure that the interface there is honest and transparent. Because we know many of the public servants have been complaining about being given unlawful instructions verbally, and we have always insisted that it is their right to refuse to carry out unlawful instructions, and it is also their right to demand that any instruction be in writing so that they can also respond in writing. And in the event that the instruction is not given in writing, they also have a right to respond in writing to a verbal instruction so as to be able to have records of what has happened.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to me about this.